Stop. Whatever you're doing right now, stop and take one breath. Feel that? You probably think you just sucked air into your lungs, like a straw pulling up a milkshake. You didn't. That's not what happened. Not even close. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You have never once in your entire life pulled air into your body. Not a single time. And the real explanation is so much weirder than anything they told you in school, because your breath doesn't fill your lungs. It rearranges reality. And by the end of the next 15 minutes, you're going to look at the empty air in front of your face and see something genuinely terrifying. An invisible ocean thousands of miles deep, crushing down on you, made of tiny bullets moving faster than a fighter jet, and you are living at the very bottom of it. And here's the part that's going to mess with you. That stranger who sat next to you on the bus last week, you've breathed the exact same atoms they did. So has a dinosaur. So did Julius Caesar, in the precise second he died. That sounds like nonsense. It's not. It's physics, and it's provable. So let me walk you through it. First, let's kill the biggest lie you believe, the straw myth. When you drink through a straw, you think you're sucking the liquid up, right? But sucking isn't actually a force. There is no invisible hand of vacuum reaching out and grabbing your drink. That's not a thing. What really happens is you lower the air pressure inside the straw with your mouth, and then the normal pressure of the whole room presses down on the surface of your drink and pushes the liquid up. You never pulled anything. The atmosphere pushed it for you, and your lungs, believe it or not, work in the exact same way. Underneath your lungs, there's a big dome of muscle called the diaphragm. When you go to breathe in, that dome flattens and drops down, and your ribs swing outward, and your entire chest cavity suddenly gets bigger. Now here's the key move. Watch closely. The amount of air inside your lungs didn't change in that instant, but the space it's sitting in just got bigger. And there's an ironclad rule in physics for exactly this situation, discovered centuries ago, called Boyle's law. It says something beautifully simple. Make the space bigger. The pressure drops. Squeeze the space smaller. The pressure shoots up. Same air, different sized room, different pressure. So the millisecond your chest expands. The pressure inside your lungs drops below the pressure of the air outside your body. And nature absolutely hates an imbalance like that. The higher pressure air outside comes flooding in to fill the low pressure gap. Not because you pulled it, but because the entire atmosphere of planet Earth is leaning on you with its full weight. And the second you crack open a low pressure door, it shoves itself inside you. Read that again. You don't breathe the air. The sky breathes you. Let that sit for a second, because it flips everything. Every single breath you take is the weight of the whole sky, pushing air into a vacuum that you created. You're not the one doing the heavy lifting here. You just open the door and the universe rushes in. And if you've ever felt this happen, you already have proof in your own head. Ever been on a plane taking off, or driven fast up a tall mountain and felt your ears pop? That pop is this whole story in miniature. The air pressure outside changed, your inner ear was still at the old pressure, and for a moment there was an imbalance, until air rushed to fix it, and pop, balance restored. You've been feeling the raw force of the atmosphere your whole life, and just calling it an annoyance. Same reason a suction cup sticks to a window. Nothing is sucking, you squeezed the air out. And now the atmosphere is pressing the cup flat against the glass, with real physical force. It's always pushing, it never stops. But how heavy is the sky? Actually, this is the part where people's brains genuinely break. Right now, this second, there is a column of air stretching from the top of your head all the way up to the edge of space, dozens of miles of atmosphere, and every bit of it is stacked on top of you. Do the math across the surface of your body, and the number comes out absurd. You are carrying somewhere around 15 to 20 tons of air pressure on your body right now. Ton-s. That's heavier than a couple of elephants standing on you this very moment. So why aren't you flattened into a smear on the floor? Because you're pressurized from the inside too. The fluids and gases inside your body push back out with exactly the same force. You are locked in a perfect tug of war, so precisely balanced that you can't even feel it. But make no mistake, the force is absolutely real. Take that outside pressure away suddenly, like an astronaut exposed to space without a suit, and the body does genuinely horrifying things. The only reason you feel calm and free and weightless is that the crush is matched perfectly on both sides. You are a soft, squishy body surviving inside an invisible vice, and you casually call it a quiet afternoon. Now here is where it gets truly unhinged. You think the air in your room is empty? Nothing there. Just space. Just nothing. Wrong. That empty air is absolutely packed. In a single normal breath, about half a liter, There are more molecules than there are grains of sand on every single beach on the entire planet. We're talking a number with 22 zeros after it. And these molecules are not politely floating. At room temperature, every one of them is screaming around at roughly 1,000 miles an hour, and they are slamming into your face, your open eyes, your skin, hundreds of trillions of times every single second. Right now, as you sit there watching this, you are being machine-gunned by the air itself, and you feel absolutely nothing. That soft, pleasant breeze on your cheek, that is not gentle. That is billions of microscopic bullets hitting one side of your face slightly more than the other. Still air is a lie. There is no such thing as stillness. Everything is chaos, all the way down, always, forever. Okay, pause. Rewind everything I just told you because I need to twist the knife. We said air rushes into your lungs. Fine. But what is that air really? Where has it been before it got to you? Because those molecules did not pop into existence the moment you inhaled. They are ancient. They've been drifting around this planet for millions and millions of years, passed from lung to leaf to ocean, and back into the sky again, endlessly. Air doesn't belong to anyone, it just gets borrowed, used, and handed back. And this next part sounds like a magic trick, but it is cold, hard, undeniable math. There's a famous calculation physicists absolutely love, sometimes called Caesar's last breath. Here's the setup. When Julius Caesar was stabbed and gasped out his final breath, he released a certain number of molecules into the air. Over the last 2,000 years, those molecules did not vanish. They spread out and slowly mixed evenly through the entire atmosphere of the Earth. Every wind, every storm, every season, blending them into absolutely everything, everywhere. Now, watch two enormous numbers collide. The number of molecules in one single breath is gigantic, and the number of breaths it would take to hold the entire atmosphere is also gigantic. When you carefully divide one by the other, something eerie falls straight out of the math. The numbers are so vast that every time you take one normal breath, you are statistically inhaling around one molecule that was inside Caesar's lungs at the exact moment he died. Sit in that for a second. The breath you are taking right this instant contains a piece of a dying emperor's chest, and it doesn't stop there. A piece was inside a dinosaur that walked this earth long before your species existed. A piece was in the lungs of the very first human who ever looked up and wondered about the stars. A piece was inside the person you love most in this world. You are right now breathing every one of them in. Reality is not keeping these things separate and neat. It is constantly shuffling the deck and dealing everyone the same atoms over and over across all of time. That is what I mean when I say your breath rearranges reality. Every inhale, you pull a chunk of the shared universe inside your body. You hold it, you use the oxygen, and then here's the trade. Those atoms cross straight into your blood. How? Same trick again. Pressure and crowding. Inside your lungs, there are millions of tiny air sacs, and pressed right up against them are tiny blood vessels. The oxygen is more crowded in the air sac than it is in your blood, so it slides across into the blood from crowded to empty. No pushing required. Meanwhile, the carbon dioxide, the exhaust your body made, is more crowded in your blood, so it slides the other way, out into the sac, ready to be breathed back out into the world. It's a silent two-way trade happening in your chest, millions of times, and it runs entirely on the universe's deep obsession with evening things out, high to low, crowded to empty, always. So follow the full insane journey of a single atom, an atom of oxygen, maybe forged inside a dying star, billions of years ago, maybe breathed by a Roman soldier 2,000 years back, gets pushed into your lungs by the sheer weight of the sky, slides into your blood by pure crowding, rides your bloodstream into one tiny cell, and there it helps burn your breakfast to keep your heart beating for one more second. That atom becomes you, briefly, and then you breathe it right back out into the room for the next person to borrow. You are not a solid, sealed-off, separate thing. You never were. You're a doorway. Atoms flow in, become you for a heartbeat, and flow back out. The you sitting there is much more like a whirlpool in a river than a solid rock, a pattern that holds its shape while the water rushing through it is always changing. Every breath swaps out a piece of you for a piece of the world, thousands of times a day. You are being quietly rebuilt, atom by atom, constantly, and you never once noticed. So here's the big reveal, the thing I promised you at the start. Your breath was never about filling a squishy bag with gas. It is the exact moment. The outside becomes the inside. It's the weight of an entire planet's sky, pushing the ancient, recycled, shared atoms of every living thing that has ever existed straight into your body, where they briefly become you, before you hand them back to the world. Breathing is not something you do to the air. It's the universe moving through you, rearranging itself using your body as a temporary shape, and now you can't unknow it. The next time you take one slow, deep breath, you're going to feel the crushing weight of the sky. You're going to hear the silent machine gun of the molecules, and you're going to taste 2,000 years of borrowed, recycled atoms. And you're going to realize you were never once separate from any of it. You are the air, taking a short walk in the shape of a person. If this rewired your brain even slightly, do me one small favor and hit that like button, because it genuinely pushes this video out to more curious people just like you. Subscribe if you want to keep looking at the boring everyday world and seeing the absolutely impossible physics hiding right underneath it. And I actually want to hear from you down in the comments. What is one boring everyday thing that you now secretly suspect is completely insane? Drop it below. I read them, and honestly, your idea might just become the next video on this channel. Until then, keep breathing. The whole universe is kind of counting on it.